Hello friends, I'm here today to share with you all the books that I read in the month of June. I didn't look to see how many there were. I ended the month at 16 books, so I did pretty well, which was the same number for May, but that is up from the past couple of months, so maybe we're coming out of the slump. So starting off, I read Protecting You by Claire Kingsley. This is the first in her Bailey Brothers series. You don't get the full romance in this book, so I did not give my rating until I read the second book, which I'll talk about later. But I did go into it knowing that it was a prequel novella to that main book, so like I think had I not known that and it ended up the way it did, I would have been angry, because there is no HEA in this one. And honestly, when I was reading it, I wasn't really sure where things were gonna go, because pretty quickly in this one, they are together and super cheesy and in love, and yeah, but they are split apart because the main male character ends up in prison, so yeah, obviously they're not together then. But yeah, I will give my actual rating for the full story when I talk about the other book here in a minute. Next was Game Changer by Abby Glines. I have already ranted about this in my May wrap-up because I did not want to think about this book anymore. So check out that video if you want to know why. Next was Even the Score by Beth Eamon. Maybe. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was pretty good. I really enjoyed the couple. It was a lot of build-up, but not even like in a slow burn way, if that makes sense. And then they get together and the conflict happens pretty fast. There's a bit of a suspense element in it. I thought that the suspense element was somebody different, so at least there's that. I wasn't able to guess it. But yeah, it was pretty good. This was my first by this author, and I do think I would pick up more, so. Next, I read Lore Olympus, Volume 1 by, what is it, Rachel Smith? Yeah. So this was pretty good. It's a graphic novel, Hades and Persephone retelling. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It took me a little bit to kind of like get into the graphic novel, like, ooh, I should move to that. The graphic novel like way of telling the story, just because I just don't read them enough to follow along that easily. And then there were a lot of characters introduced randomly, who I'm sure later on, I think there's going to be 4 volumes, I don't remember what I read, but it just seemed like almost disjointed when new characters were introduced, and some of them kind of came out of nowhere to me. But I did overall enjoy it, and I will continue on with the series as the volumes are released. After that, I read A Reckless Match by Kate Bateman. This is the first in, I don't know what the series is called. But this one is about a couple who are from rival families, and I don't remember if it's every year or every like couple of years, they have to like meet at the land because both of their families have rights to it, but if one of the families doesn't show up on that designated day when they're supposed to meet, their land is forfeited. Their part of the land is forfeited to the other family. And so in this one, Madeline goes and meets Griff. And like, I liked the couple a lot. I liked their like rivalry banter because they've grown up supposed to be hating this other family, but also kind of knowing that it's weird that they hate this other family. And I don't know if this is a spoiler, like, they find like secret tunnels through throughout the land, and they are like they spend a good majority of the book going through those tunnels, and there's a whole like smuggling situation, and I just thought that part was a little bit dragged on. But as far as the romance, I really enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 stars. Next was A Spot of Trouble by Terry Wilson. I've read a couple of Terry Wilson books, and they're very, like, Hallmarky, but this one was really, like, over-the-top Hallmarky. Like, the meet-cute was they were at a dog park because they both have Dalmatians, but he's new to town, and she, like, thinks he's stealing her dog because several people mentioned that she's the only person with a Dalmatian in town. And I'm like, that's really weird. I don't know. And then, like, he's a fire marshal, I want to say. Fire inspector, something. And he keeps, like, writing her tickets because she runs a food truck that's not up to code. And he keeps writing her tickets. And then ultimately, her dad, who's the sheriff, has to arrest her, and she just, like, doesn't know why he would really file those tickets. And I was like, because it's his job, and you've been, like, really shitty to him, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I'm sure it's for somebody, but I just thought that it was over the top and too much for me. Next was one that I am really disappointed in, especially since it took me so long to find this cover to match my sequel to it, but I read The Birthday List by Devney Perry. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. This was a struggle to get through. So it's very long and very drawn out, but they're pretty much together the whole time. It's not like they're not seeing anybody else, and they're spending all their time together, and so they're together, but just not like saying they're together, basically. But this one is about Poppy, who she was happily married, and then I don't remember what the occasion was, but she sent her husband to the store, and he ended up being there as the store was getting robbed, and he tried to step in and help the shop workers, and he's murdered. So, like, that's how the book starts, and it's very heavy into grief talk, and then she, like, I think it's like 5 years later, she's decided that she's going to finish her husband's, he called it a birthday list instead of a bucket list, but it's kind of the same thing, just things you want to do before each year, before each birthday hits. So she's decided that she's going to continue all of those items that he had on his list, and then the cop, well, I don't remember his name, and it's not on the back, Cole? Yeah, she doesn't expect Cole. So then she meets Cole, or re-meets Cole, who is actually the officer that showed up to tell her that her husband was dead. And he starts to help her with the list. And I don't know, I just felt like it was really, really heavy in the grief, and I don't know that she was necessarily moved on enough for me to fully believe that she, like, loved this new man. But yeah, I was very disappointed by this one. And then I'm not excited about the second one either, and I don't know if I want to read it at all, because that one involves, I think it's the main character in this one, it's her brother and his ex-wife, who she cheated, and now, like, people were blaming him because he asked for a divorce, and I don't love that. And yeah, I haven't decided if I'm going to continue on with this. I do believe it's just the 2 books in the series, though. Next I read The Highland Fling by Megan Quinn. Honestly, if you'd asked me before I started reading it, I really thought this was going to be a 5-star read for me. I love the premise of an American going to, this one was Scotland, and running some type of little shop. But this one was I liked the premise, but not the characters. I don't think any of these characters, main or side, had any redeeming qualities. The main character was a little bit too, like, stupid American for me. She kept making these comments, and I was like, that's why people don't enjoy American Tourist. And then the love interest wasn't really good at communicating. Like, if he would have just, like, opened his mouth instead of just, like, grunting every time she tried to say something, maybe we could have gotten somewhere. The best friend was a terrible friend. Maybe it's just my work ethic, but if you're going to drag me all the way to Scotland, if you're going to sign me up to go work at this, with a coffee shop, if you're going to sign me up to go work at this coffee shop, you need to get your ass there. And when, like, the main character actually, like, started caring and trying to fix it up, and she had this whole, like, concept to read you the coffee shop, and the best friend was off having a relationship. And I was just like, you dragged her there, and then you're gonna get mad that she cares so much about it, and she's not asking you about your relationship. And that just made me angry. Next was Love in the Wild by Emma Castle. This is a Tarzan retelling. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I have it in a reading blog. I will try to link if you want more of my thoughts on that. I gave it 3 stars. The dynamic did not work for me in this one. So next was Fighting for Us by Claire Kingsley. This is the continuation of Protecting You. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, but, like, it's the 4 stars is the whole story from both, the whole romance from both books. So I gave this 4 stars because I did really enjoy it. I did really enjoy seeing them work through and come back from him being in prison, and obviously being a completely different person as to who he was when he went in. But it was really drawn out, and I don't think that it necessarily needed to be 2 books, but I'm not the writer, so I can't make that call. Next was The Mistletoe Motive by Chloe Leese. I believe this one is also in that reading blog. So I gave this one 4 stars. It's a novella. I don't know why I keep trying to read them. They don't work for me. I don't feel connected to characters or romances or anything. So, yeah. Next was Tutoring the Player by Rebecca Jinchak. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I loved this one a lot. I thought the characters, it's a new adult. They're in college. I thought that they actually felt like new adult age in their maturity. I do think that I expand on that a little bit more in, again, that same reading blog. Then also in that reading blog is Praise by Sarah Kate. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel a connection for the main couple outside of the dom-sub relationship, and I just think that I wanted more in order for me to truly believe their relationship and that they stuck together after the end of the book. The next 2 were in my July 4th reading blog, so I will also have that one linked. First one is Make It Sweet by Kristen Callahan. I am giving this one 3 stars. I enjoyed the first half of it, but not the second half. I felt like everything that I enjoyed in the first half was completely changed in the second. So, also in that same July 4th reading blog, Everything for You by Chloe Leese. I gave this one 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. Oliver and Gavin. There's so many tropes. Like, there's grumpy sunshine, teammates, neighbors, there's only one bed trope. It's got so much goodness in it. And if you like the Bergman Brothers series, you should definitely try to get to this one soon. And finally, the last book for the month of June was Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. I gave this one 4 stars. I don't necessarily think it's a high 4 stars, so, like, it, like, barely made the 4-star ranking for me. It was good, and I enjoyed the storyline of Helen wanting to, like, fight for her own position as Aries. I forget what spot in the 13 they're fighting for, but I really enjoyed her, like, wanting to take her own. It was very, like, Brave, like the Disney movie Brave, like, I'll fight for my own hand. Yeah, it was very much like that. So I enjoyed that, but I never fully believed that. So this one is Achilles Patroclus. That sounded bad. I don't remember how they said his name, and Helen. So I never believed that they were really a throuple. It was very much about Achilles and like what he wanted, and I didn't enjoy that. How am I going to say this? So the first sexy time scene is Achilles and Helen. Or, well, the first, like, sexy time scene of the throuple. So, like, I don't know how to, I'm not describing this as well. Achilles and the other man, whose name I can't say, are together. And then they meet Helen and are both really drawn to her, and, like, other dude knew her when they were kids. But then, like, Achilles and Helen have sexy times, and then other dude is just supposed to be like, okay, whatever. But he's like upset because he was left out. But then Helen thinks that he's just like mad at her for sleeping with his boyfriend. So like she starts trying to hook up with him, but then Achilles shows up and like it gets all like about what he wants and he's like in charge of it. And I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was a true like 3, you know? So, yeah. I gave it 4 stars, but, like, barely there. So that is my June wrap-up. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought about them down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye!